Your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome into Game Day right here. Sacktown Sports, 1140. Game 5 of the final road trip for the Kings this afternoon as they take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs are trying to wrap up the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference today. As for the Kings, we know every win so critical as they try to grab the 9th spot in the play-in, which would give them a home game with a chance to advance out of there and possibly get into the playoffs. But it's going to be a tough road for them. Obviously, it's Cleveland today, second night of the back-to-back in Detroit before they come home, finish out the season. Denver on Wednesday. You've got the Clippers on Friday, and then finish out the year with Phoenix. And who knows what that game may be all about on Sunday with the Phoenix Suns. The Kings, good news, they were able to beat Charlotte on Friday, and that was very important after coming off that 118-113 loss at Washington. Really a must-win for the Kings on Friday, and they got the job done. They took care of business and certainly put themselves in a position to get back into the 9th spot after Dallas losing back-to-back times Los Angeles Friday night and then last night as well. All right, High Flyer, we've got the Kings rounding out this road trip. They got the game they had to get on Friday. Now they've got 2 games that are going to be tough to get, but certainly every game so critical. We're in the final week of the season now.
Oh, we in home stretch right now, Scott. You know, you just said it, right? Dallas lost 2 games. That really put them back, and to put the Kings pretty much back to where we thought we were going to be, pretty much that 9th spot.
Yep.
But we have 2 tough games coming up, right?
Yes, we do.
So that might put us back into the 10th spot, Dallas in the 9th, with that half a game, because isn't it a half a game between a half a game in there somewhere?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, it's a little convoluted. The Mavericks are technically percentage points ahead of the Kings, although they have more losses. The Mavs are now 38-41. Kings are 37-40, so they've got 5 games left. Mavs have 3 left on the schedule. Phoenix has 5 games left as well. They're 35-42.
But Kings are 2 games up on them, right?
2 games up on Phoenix. Phoenix has got New York. Brunson's supposed to play for the first time after missing 21 games today.
Oh, so that's great.
That helps.
For us?
Yes, yes. So, you know, certainly trying to hold on to the 10 is the bottom line here. I think the Kings now feel like they have a chance to get to 9 and maybe host that play-in game.
Right. I mean, they do technically have a chance, but that starts tonight, the last game before we go home. And then those 2 games, once we come back home, are going to be big-time games. We got Denver, and then we got the Clips.
No doubt. I mean, for the Mavs, their final 3 games, well, they've got the monster game on Wednesday. So they're off now for 3 days. They don't play until Wednesday when they host the Lakers.
And see, that's scary in itself.
They'll be ready for that game.
That's what I'm saying. That's scary in itself because they got 3 days to get their game plan together.
At home. Yep. And then they've got the Raptors at home, which you got to think they'll definitely be favored in. A great chance to win that game.
Right.
And then they finish up on the road against the Grizz. And of course, the Grizz at that point could be playing for a playoff play-in scenario. We don't know final game how that's all going to play out.
Right, because the Grizz has been they have been in some serious turmoil themselves.
They are playing better, though. They've won a couple of games. They won again last night. But you're right. They've had all sorts of turmoil, just like here with letting Taylor Jenkins go and everything else.
I mean, they have been able to win basketball games, but they also have been able to hit a ski at all. You know, it's like 50-50 with them.
Yeah, right now, it's incredible what's going on in the Western Conference. You've got 3 through 8 separated by 2 losses. The Lakers, who are playing right now against Charlotte, they're 47-30. The Nuggets 47-31. Golden State, who has Houston tonight, 46-31.
That's a big one.
It is a huge one. Then you got the Timberwolves, the Clippers, and the Grizz all tied for that 6th and final playoff spot at 46-32.
Wow. So all the way through, it's still going to be a dogfight from 4 to 10.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, 3 through 10 right now, everything's up for grabs. I mean, even the Grizz with just being 2 games back, they could get all the way to 3 potentially.
Right. I mean, we understand that 10 don't have no chance to get to 3. But what we're saying is that
Sure, everything's up for grabs.
All of that stuff is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Nothing is solidified except the 1 and the 2 spot.
No doubt. And I mean, the Rockets 51-27. If they were to technically lose out and the Lakers were to win out, the Lakers could catch them too. Unlikely. We know the Thunder are going to be the 1 seed, of course. Houston most likely to 2. And then everything else, we've got 7 days to figure it out.
Hey, get the 3 balls out and start juggling.
No doubt. All right. So Kings and Cavs, the most probably the stressful part right now, not knowing Keegan Murray is listed as questionable for this game. Back soreness. We don't know. He's a game time decision for this one.
Wow. Tough.
Very tough.
Defensively, you lose your head of the snake. Keegan Murray guards the best person on every roster that we play. So, who would you think that would be? Would he be on Donovan Mitchell, or would he be on the power forward?
You take your pick, because I mean, Cleveland's got so many dynamic players,
right?
But I mean, I think you'd put him on Donovan Mitchell to begin with, assuming he's available. If not, take your pick. I mean, you could put him on Mobley.
That's what I thought.
Possibly. Who knows, Darius Gar? I mean, who knows what's going to happen? We'll get more on that. Of course, Kings Live pregame coming up at 2:30, 3 o'clock tip today, G-Man, with the call of that one. But just even probably more distressing than that, you just hope it's not anything that's lingering if he doesn't go today.
Right, because we're going to need him
down the home stretch.
No doubt, because Keegan has started being more aggressive. He's shooting the basketball better, and he's starting to become a big part. I mean, we know we have Zach, we have DeMar, but Keegan is that third guy that has really stepped up and shown that he could be a legitimate offensive threat.
No doubt. He wasn't so much in Charlotte on Friday. In fact, he only had 5 points in that game, but it was one of his better games, actually.
Yeah, he played well.
He played a great all-around game, and certainly was great defensively in that game, had a couple of block shots, did a lot of good things for the Kings as they took care of business, as they absolutely had to. I mean, if they had not beaten Charlotte, a team that's basically the equivalent of the Washington Wizards right now, going into today, I mean, you'd really feel like the Kings' chances of maybe even hanging on to the play-in would be very, very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, everything has been up for grabs with this team. It's also crazy, Scott, because when we first started this gig and we were talking about where the Kings should land and everything, we were really hoping for a playoff run.
No doubt. Top 6 was the thought at the start of the year.
To be at the top 6. And really, through 3/4 of the season, they were still on that hunt. They were still in the mix. They were right there at 7, 8, yeah. would be a game out of 6.
Yep.
But that one skid where we lost 5 or 6 in a row.
Yeah, really just coming out of the All-Star break, it just hasn't been the same. You get blown out by Golden State at home to start the second half run, and it just really hasn't been the same. And then, of course, that game in LA where Kawhi hits that remarkable left-handed shot in overtime.
That's the one.
I think so too.
That's the one I thought broke a lot of the hopes, a lot of the spirit, a lot of the morale for this team. Because, they played a good game. They played good enough to win, just got beat by a better player with a better shot.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you look at that. They were coming off a win against San Antonio at home before losing that game. Then they come back home on the back-to-back. They get spanked by the Knicks. They get blown out on the road by the Warriors. They lose in Phoenix before starting to recover a little bit. But, boy, it was a tough run.
It was. I mean, it really was. And I really thought that game was the one. Because if the Kings would have won that game, I think winning momentum would have been at an all-time high.
Yeah, it was one of those swing games for sure.
Right.
What do you make? Wednesday you called it being a get-right game against Washington. Yeah. Obviously, nothing went right.
Nothing.
What you wanted on Wednesday happened on Friday. What do you take away from it?
I give it 25% of the 100% it would have been if they would have won both of those games. Winning against winning against the Hornets was okay. They did what they needed to do. They played the way they needed to play, but we needed 2 of those. We really did, Scott. we needed that Washington game because really Washington and the Hornets were pretty much the same basketball team.
No doubt. You could be 3 games up now.
Right. So the Kings really needed that to where you got to deal with Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be Cleveland, but I thought the team would have been more so on an all-time high saying, okay, fellas, we just got 2 basketball games the right way. We're playing the right way, all right? Because we know if the Kings play the right way, they could be competitive with anybody.
Yeah, for sure. They've proved that throughout the year.
Right. But when you dump Washington and get beat, that puts a serious wedge in. And then you come out against the Hornets and you play a good game. You're feeling okay. It gives about 25% for me.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, the Kings, they beat Cleveland here. It was one of their best wins of the year. Can they take anything away from that today? Or is it too far removed?
I would say it's too far removed because a lot of things has happened to this basketball team, like we just alluded to, the Clipper game. A lot of things have happened to this basketball team to where, emotionally and mentally, they're at an all-time low. When they played Cleveland the first time, I don't think the morale was the exact same way that it is now.
They were coming off a tough stretch, and you look at that. I was rattling off that 4-game losing streak for Sacramento at that point in time. Then they got back in the winning ways when they beat the Grizz, and then they beat Cleveland, and then it kind of went the other way again after losing to Chicago, right?
But so
that 2-game kind of win streak in between 2 bad 4-game losses.
But see, you had just said it.
I know.
They beat the Grizz, right?
Yep.
Good win. They was on the road for that one.
It was at home.
Okay.
Yep.
Beat the Grizz at home, a good basketball team.
Yep.
Right? So you're feeling good about yourself, Scott, and you're on your home floor. Cleveland comes in, you're still feeling good.
Yeah, and Cleveland had lost 4 straight at that point.
Right.
Too.
So Cleveland comes in and you smack them.
Yep.
You should be feeling good about yourself, but seeing that you just lost to Washington and you beat a lowly Hornets team, how are you feeling about yourselves?
You can't be feeling great about it.
Right.
No.
I mean, you're not on an all-time high. Now, if they come out and they play a very competitive game, then you say, okay, well, maybe they're starting to get something back. But this team has been up and down so much, you really can't put your finger and say, okay, they're going to be this anytime they come out.
True. And for Cleveland today, with a win, they will wrap up the Eastern Conference. So they've got a lot to play for today.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to anyways, most likely, but they can officially do it today at home.
And I believe this about Cleveland, Scott. I believe Cleveland is hungry. I believe that they really felt like they should have been there last year. And, for whatever reason, Boston just beat them out. Boston's a great basketball team. But I think Cleveland is that team that they have went back and looked at what went wrong and understood that, it just took a little bit more from each player for them to get over that hump. And I think we're looking at that team right now because they're hungry and they're ready to come out the East.
Yeah, they've been incredible this year. Second best record in the league, 62-15. That's the challenge today for the Kings, as they do have an opportunity here. With a win, they would put themselves back in the number 9 spot. All right, game day is underway. We'll take you until 2:30 this afternoon. Again, getting you ready for Kings Live pregame. Game day is always being brought to you by Howard's Gumbo. And the great thing about a Sunday afternoon right about this time, we know Howard's Gumbo is about ready to open.
Yes, sir. About ready to open and go over there and get that 3-piece catfish with all the fries you can give me.
Yep. Open 2 to 8 today. They're open Thursdays and Fridays, 11 to 8, Saturdays, Sundays, 2 to 8. Check them out. 2120 Marconi Avenue. Howard Gumbo, the best gumbo in town. More of game day right here. Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right, we are live on YouTube.
Anthony, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much, just happy that the last game wasn't as sad as 2 before that.
It was, if you could call anything a must win, that was it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know you don't like that term, but it was a must win for my own sanity.
Yeah, it was a must win for us.
Yeah, absolutely. As fans and just watching the team.
All right. How are you feeling about where things stand right now for the Kings? Did they stabilize with that win, or is that just a temporary pause of further concern here?
I think that I have to see what happens tonight more than anything. I think that it made me feel better about things. I don't think it's stabilized at all. I don't think beating the Hornets makes anything too big of a difference. But I think that it's definitely a valuable thing if they take it the right way, like attitude wise. I think that that's important. And I think we'll see that tonight.
Does attitude matter much in game 78 right now? I mean, really, it's about wins and losses. I mean, can we really feel good if they play well tonight and take something from it if they still
No,
lose?
I think the attitude will make them more likely to win, is what I meant more than
Okay.
anything. If they lose, they lose. But if they take that win and ride that momentum and really try tonight and win, then I think that that's where I would
All right.
place
What do you
that.
think about that, Henry? Game 78, does it really matter if the team is feeling better after playing okay and losing?
No,
I don't think so either, really.
no. Like I said, I honestly thought if they could have mustered up enough gumption to win those two games, I would have thought that the morale would have been a little bit of a higher peak. But just winning this one game against an underman team, I mean, how hard can you beat your chest about that? You really can't.
No, you can't at all. I mean, a Charlotte team that's got 19 wins right now, you can't really bank on that whatsoever. It's just, again, if the Kings can get in and hold on to the 10, and we know that they may do it even not on their own doing. I mean, it may just be done because what the Suns end up doing here. Their schedule, again, they've got to take on the Knicks today, then they host the Warriors, and then they host OKC before playing San Antonio and finishing out here against us. So it's going to be interesting. But if the Kings can get into 10, I guess if they're feeling good going into the play-in, then they've got a fighter's chance against the Mavs. Is that how you look at it?
I would say that. This is what the play-in is all about, Scott. To give you that last-ditch effort to where if things haven't went right for you and you've struggled as a basketball team for whatever reason, you had injuries or trades or just straight out dysfunction, things just haven't worked. The play-in is for you have your last-ditch effort just in case you get it together, you can still do something big time.
Yeah, it's still in front of them. That's the thing that's still the positive here with the week left in the season. It's still all in front of Sacramento, but obviously it's not going to be easy. The schedule does not favor Sacramento right now.
No, the schedule doesn't favor Sacramento, and the overall morale and play doesn't favor Sacramento. They're not playing at an all-time high level.
Nope. Welcome back into Game Day right here, Sacktown Sports, 1140. Scott Marsh along with the high flyer, Henry Turner. Kings and Cavs. Sacramento looking for the season sweep. That doesn't matter as much as the Kings just looking for a victory against a very good Cleveland team that is looking to wrap up the number one seed in the Eastern Conference with a win today. We'll take you until 2:30 today. If you want to join the program, you can. 916-339-1140, 1-800-920 1140. Hope you're having a great weekend. The weather can't be any better in Sacramento right now.
It's a nice day outside.
It's beautiful.
It's a very nice day.
It's been a great weekend. And of course, the Kings can make it a great weekend. They get a win today before coming back home after playing Detroit tomorrow. So as you look at it, you got Detroit tomorrow. You've got Denver Wednesday. You've got the Clippers who are cranking it up right now on Friday, and then the Suns. I mean, regardless of what's gone on, the ups and downs, the bumps and bruises, the pros and cons, whatever you want to call it, this is still what we live for. It's the final week of the season. Sure. And the Kings are still in it. I mean, it doesn't feel great right now, but the Kings still have everything in front of them.
The one scary thing that's still out there, Scott, that's still looming over pretty much all of these teams' heads is that at this particular time, you want to be playing better basketball than what you played all the way through the season. Right. So now you've got teams that are really struggled, still trying to say, okay, we want to be playing our best basketball. And especially when you talk about those teams like Memphis, the Clippers, LA down there, Denver. Well, those teams are really trying to ramp it up because all of those teams feel like if they're playing well, they can get all the way to the championship.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, playoffs come down to a lot of matchups, maybe not so much in a one-game series, but certainly in a 7. As you're kind of looking at it right now, I certainly feel like if you are Sacramento and you can get past the first game in the play-in, you can beat Dallas, I think you're hoping that it's Memphis who you get right now, just to your point in terms of the turmoil and everything else going on there right now.
Right. I mean, you want to catch the team that's not playing well at this particular point. No matter what team you are, you want to catch that team that's struggling.
Yep.
And that, like I said, that's where Sacramento has to be careful, because everybody else are looking at the Kings like, we want them because they're struggling.
Exactly. You make a great point. Of the 10 teams right now in contention, Memphis and Sacramento have the worst records in the last 10. Both of them are 3 of their last 10.
Right. So, I mean, when you look at it, you're like, we might not want to see the Lakers right now. And it's like, okay, the Clippers are playing better basketball.
Yeah.
We just alluded to Dallas. Dallas just got AD back. They got Gafford back. They got Lively back. They're going to be playing better basketball.
They definitely are. AD played one of the 2 games against the Clippers, but that was sat out on a back-to-back scenario. He won't have another back-to-back this year.
Right. So pretty much AD will be in uniform.
Yep.
And, and when you got a guy that's of that magnitude, you can win some games.
No doubt. Even Kawhi played a back-to-back in that series versus the Mavs and held up pretty well. Looked good.
Does that say something right there?
He's getting in playoff mode.
At the end,
Yep.
You want everybody playing their best basketball. Kawhi Leonard goes in a back-to-back.
Yep. What do you think it's going to take for the Kings to get to that position here in the last week of the season? What can they do to get feeling better, playing better?
Well, I think their position is pretty much solidified. Okay, they might be able to get that 9th spot, but you're still in a situation to where you have to win 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
You got to win 2 games.
Bottom line, yeah.
Right. So whether you at 9 or you at 10, the only difference is that, okay, maybe you're going to be at home for one, on the road for another,
Yep.
but you still have to win both of those games
For sure.
to get what you need to get. That's why the 7-8 spot, it's so coveted, because all you got to do is win 1 game
Exactly.
and you're in the dance.
No doubt. It's a huge difference. Obviously, for the Kings, they want to be fully healthy. For the most part, they are. I think having Jake LaRavia back will help a ton.
Another energy guy,
Yeah.
big time. Another energy guy that's going to bring the energy, that's going to bring the effort, that's going to be able to play defense and just play overall hard on the offensive side also.
Yeah. And again, Keegan Murray listed as questionable. We'll have a full Gingerine Hammer injury report when we get to that segment of the show, let you know everything else that's going on. But right now, he's a game time decision. And again, whether he plays today or not isn't a huge concern to me, but obviously you have to have him in a play-in scenario. You just hope that back is nothing more than a day-to-day.
I felt the same way about Sabonis when, Sabonis twisted the ankle and we were like, okay, he's going to come back, but is he all the way healthy? And where would you rather have him on this run?
Yeah.
Well, you would rather have him in that play-in run.
Yeah, you're not going to risk it. And, it might be a situation if the back's a little sore, you've got Detroit tomorrow night back-to-back, that the Kings may be thinking you hold them out today, you get them fully ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, because on paper, right?
Yeah, Detroit's a more winnable game, right?
A more winnable game. So you trying to get every W you can before the season is over with. That will be a smart play.
Yeah. In fact, Detroit lost last night at home. They lost to those Grizz in Detroit. So we'll see. I mean, Pistons have still had a great year. They're currently in that number 6 spot in the Eastern Conference. So they're in the playoffs for sure. They're not going to fall down to where the Magic are in 7, and they most likely would match up against the Knicks. We don't talk about the Eastern Conference a lot. I mean, it's top 6 heavy, and then everybody else just kind of
Right.
filling it out.
Floating around, exactly. But, you see that in the play. I think that's what makes the West so tough, is that if any of these teams get on a heater, they can make a run.
Yeah, no doubt. The one thing that's kind of crazy in all of this right now, you just look at tiebreaker scenarios. Again, if the Kings and Suns were to tie, the Suns would have the tiebreaker, assuming they win on Sunday, because they have the better division record. How are the Suns 9-5 in the division against the Lakers, Warriors, Clippers, and Kings? And the Kings are 2-1 against them.
Right.
So you take that out, they're 7-4 against the Lakers, Warriors, and the Clips.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
But what I'm saying, that just goes to show right there, Scott.
Yeah.
Any one of these teams get on a heater, they can make a serious run.
No doubt. And we're still kind of awaiting word on Kevin Durant as well, and when he comes back or not. So,
Hey.
and that's going to make a huge difference.
Hey, if he comes back.
Right. Exactly. might be determined a lot what happens today in New York and what happens at home against Golden State on Tuesday.
Yeah, no doubt.
So if the Kings can get another win here, Phoenix losing, then you're all of a sudden 3 games up on them. You kind of put it to the point where they can't come back.
Right. No matter what happens, they can't come back and win. And, that's where the Kings want to be. Scott, I've always said that you want to be a basketball club that you control your own destiny. You don't want to be turning your head, watching the scoreboard saying, okay, well, are you guys going to help us out? No. You eat your own self. Don't worry about who's bringing the food. You go out and hunt and get your own.
No doubt. The other good thing for the Kings from Friday, I thought, Malik Monk looked as close back to himself as we've seen since he was ill.
I'm first team all Malik Monk. I think this team, they won't go far without him. I think, he really helps out a lot of other people on this basketball team. Domantas Sabonis being the most important one. When they run that high pick and roll, that's one of the best offensive weapons we have right there for Monk to get downhill or for Sabonis to get hit with the pocket pass on the roll.
No doubt. And the other thing which I'm still a little confused about, I haven't had a chance to talk with Doug because he's been on the road for so much, is just Malik not back in the starting line. Maybe he will today now that he's fully feeling better. But, the key on at the starting a role, he hasn't done much.
He struggled.
Yeah, another performance where he only put up 2 shots in 23 minutes and didn't have a single assist.
I'll tell you what, you talk about guys being able to really accept their role. I think Keon has accepted the role of coming off the bench, and he was comfortable in that role because we saw a lot more productivity that way. But but putting him in the starting lineup seems like he defers a lot more to DeMar and Zach.
Yeah, it feels like he's trying to identify his own role and figure himself out again.
Right. But we need somebody that's going to come out, that's going to push the issue like a Malik Monk.
Exactly. So I'm just curious, maybe we'll see Malik move back into that starting lineup. That's something that I think at least should be on the radar. All right, when we come back, we're going to go around the league. Obviously, it's a very important Sunday. Lots of games going on that are going to make meaningful differences in the standings. We'll get you caught up on all of that. Of course, all the other news going on around the league and in sports as well. It's Game Night. It's being brought to you by Gingery Hammer and Associates. If you're ever in an injury, just call Gingery. More of Game Day right here, Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right, we are back live on YouTube.
Okay, we got to go with Game Day. I'm so used to saying Game Night, but 1:30 in the afternoon, I can't.
I had to change
I don't know.
I've got to change the YouTube title as well.
It's
I gotta
fine.
start doing that.
It doesn't really matter. What's going on? Any chat going on, or is everybody outside just enjoying their day?
I feel like everyone's outside enjoying their day.
I would be too. Quite honestly,
would be too.
I understand that.
But something that I found interesting while you guys were talking was you always want to see someone while they're doing bad. Like you want to play a team that's historically doing a little bit bad or in the last couple games. And obviously Cleveland is not doing very bad. But in their since last time I saw the Kings and lost to the Kings, they're 7-1 and they lost to, do you guys want to guess or do you guys know who they lost to in their last game?
Are we talking about the Cavs?
The Cavs.
Their loss, they almost lost to San Antonio.
Yes. Which was crazy.
It was crazy. They did hold on and win that game.
But this loss is also pretty crazy.
I think it was either Washington or Utah, right?
It wasn't. That would have been crazy. It's not as crazy as that.
Okay.
It is Detroit without Cade.
Okay.
By 10. And I think that's kind of telling. Like they lost to the Kings before and they've lost to Detroit. So like they can bleed.
Yeah, and they had that
that's
4-game losing streak, when they came out west.
Yeah, that was a very interesting time as well.
In fairness to them, they're so far ahead in what's going on right now. They're in rest mode. They've got the number 1 seed locked up. They're not going to catch OKC for the best overall record, most likely anyways. So
absolutely. But in this game, Donovan Mitchell played 36 minutes, scored 38 points. Darius Garland played 34 minutes. So they were trying. They were going.
Did they have both Jared and Mobley?
Yep, they had Mobley played 33 minutes and Jared Allen played 19. I think he might have went down in that game.
Okay, and obviously Detroit's a good team.
Yeah, of course. Just without Cade, they looked pretty. They only played
without this soon-to-be best player in the world, self-proclaimed.
I kind of love that. I love when players do stuff like that.
I have no problem with it either.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
I don't have a problem with it. High flyer, do you?
Better be able to back it up.
True. And
That's
for the
the
most
thing.
part, he has.
You better be able to, in the world. Okay. You better be able to back it up.
It's a bold statement, obviously.
But what you have to understand, Scott, as a basketball player, when you say things like that, let's say guys that you don't normally match up against take offense to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's say you're a point guard and you say that, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden you're playing Michael Jordan.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's bulletin board material right
Right.
there.
Mike's like, no. I got him. Or let's say you're a two guard and you say that, and all of a sudden, Dan Marley would guard you, but Charles Barkley no. I'm going to take him tonight.
Yep.
You put extra pressure on yourself by saying stuff like that because, the superstar guys that usually probably wouldn't match up with you are like, no. We're going to see who you are now.
True. Yeah. You put yourself on an unnecessary radar. That's true. What do we got for time?
We got about 20 seconds left.
All right. Anything in the chat at all to go over?
Someone's in Seattle, so he doesn't get to enjoy the Sacramento.
Oh, yeah, it's raining in Seattle.
Yeah,
Shocker.
so bad time to be there.
It'll be interesting to see when Seattle gets their team here. If it's sooner or later. Feels like it's going to take later.
I was like, could they put it in the sunny part of Seattle?
We'll see.
Or is there such a thing?
Welcome back into Game Day. Sacktown Sports 1140. We're talking in our chat room during the break, and if you're not there, you're always welcome to go to our YouTube page. You can watch the show there. Sign up for Sacktown Sports. We have David, who's in Seattle. Unfortunately for him, it's gray and wet there. And we are just asking, when the Sonics come back to Seattle, can they put it in the sunny part of Seattle? Where is the sunny part of Seattle, High Flyer?
That's what I was asking. Is there such a thing? That's a sunny part?
They get some great weather at certain times during the year. Certainly late summer, like July and August is great.
I think it only hits for like about, a month or two, and that's it. Goes back to rain.
Exactly. So it'd be interesting to see, expansion talk is certainly around the corner, but it's kind of been moved back a little bit. I'm curious as to when the league is going to expand to 32 teams, and if for sure it's going to be Seattle and Las Vegas. Sure seems like it's going to be.
I think it is going to be Seattle and Las Vegas. I think the expansion talk has been just a little bit watered down over the global talk because, the league is still trying to figure out a way how they're going to get a team overseas.
Right. The European thing with FIBA, they're exploring that, lots of things on the plate, certainly for the NBA right now. If you want to join the show, you certainly can. 916-339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can certainly chat in our YouTube as well. We'll read your comments there. Also, Game Day is being brought to you by our good friends over at Gingery and Hammer. If you're ever in an injury, just call Gingery. And Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Check out their full line of luxury vehicles at mbofstockton.com. All right, let's go around the league, get you caught up on all the news on a Sunday as the 2025 Hall of Fame class was announced, the Naismith Hall of Fame class. No question about Carmelo Anthony getting in that list. I don't think that was any surprise. Dwight Howard also getting in. Absolutely no surprise there.
No.
Sue Bird was nominated
nice.
as well. Certainly deserving there. So I think a pretty outstanding 2025 class overall.
Well, was there anybody on that list where you was like, maybe not this year?
I don't think so. There were a few WNBA people. Maya Moore, Sylvia Fowles were nominated to that class.
Okay.
Howard and Carmelo Anthony dominated the NBA portion of it. The 2008 Olympic team also got nominated as a team into the Hall of Fame. So there you go.
Wow.
Mickey Arison, the owner of the Miami Heat, was selected as well.
I didn't know that they can put a whole team in the Hall of Fame.
Well, they just did. So, yeah. So anyways, interesting. So there you go. But that was certainly good news for Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard. How about this? So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 20 points last game out. His 70th straight time he scored 20 plus. He just passed MJ for that.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, this dude is playing great basketball.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's getting every last flower that he deserves, because he's been playing great. Got his basketball team at a very high level and, looking at making the championship run.
No doubt. So MJ had 69 in a row in the 90-91 season, SGA 70 now. And that stat alone probably cements that he's going to be the MVP.
Yeah, but Joker is still putting together a serious campaign.
No doubt.
And honestly, Scott, Joker's a 2-time MVP, right? 2 or 3? 3. 3-time MVP. And I think the league, they really want to give the MVP to a guy who has a prettier game, because it's hard to give your MVP to a guy that, looks like he needs to be out on the farm somewhere.
Yep.
And you got guys like LeBron and Giannis who looks like Adonis is out here, and Jokic is getting the MVP time and time again.
That's true. All right, let's go around the league, catch you up on the score. But how about this? The Lakers are up on OKC 85-67, third quarter.
Okay. Statement game?
Yeah,
Sending
absolutely.
the statement?
They start off with a 42-point first quarter, followed it up with 36 in the second, a 78-point first half for the Lakers.
Okay, LA letting it be known right now. And just in case we meet, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, Luka's already got 23 in that game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. So just kind of looking at the box score for OKC, Shai Gilgeous is playing in that game. He's got another 21-point game going.
Add another one to the tally.
Exactly. But nobody else doing a lot for the Thunder in that one. But that's a huge game. And you said it's like a statement game. But more importantly for the Lakers, even though they're beating OKC today, I'm sure they'd rather get the 3 seed and not have to face them till the conference finals.
For sure. But Scooter, we talk about how meaningful these games are. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if LA comes out and they really just bring it to OKC?
Yeah.
That sends a statement to the head just alone.
Right.
So when OKC do have to face them again, LA looking like, what just happened a month ago, right?
No doubt. And the one thing about OKC, they have not proven it in the playoffs.
They're not proven in the stretch. I've always said playoff basketball is a whole different animal.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, there is one final from today. The Bulls continue to play good ball. They beat the Hornets 131-117. Kobe White had 37 in that game. He is just having an incredible second half of the season.
I think Sacramento Kings just set this guy on a heater.
No doubt.
We really just started this dude. Every time he walks into G1, he has a great game.
He's rolling right now.
And got confidence and rolling and playing some of his best basketball.
He is. All right, you've got the Jazz and the Hawks. Celtics are hosting the Wizards. You've got the Spurs and the Blazers. As we said, Phoenix will be watching this one. They play the Knicks tonight. That's a 4:00 tip-off at the Garden. You've got the Pacers and the Nuggets, the Rockets and the Warriors. That's a big matchup. You've got the Bucks and the Pels. So those are the other games going on today. Full load on a Sunday.
Yeah. That Rockets game is going to be the one, though.
Yeah, that's a fun one for sure. As the Warriors, again, 46-31, they've got a chance to get into the top 5, maybe even move up into a top 4 and host a first-round playoff series.
Well, self-proclaimed best defensive player, Draymond Green, thinks that's what they're going to do.
No doubt. You've got Green and Dillon Brooks. Who knows what could happen in that one?
A lot of bump and thump.
Yeah, no doubt. How about the Rockets? They're 22-15 on the road this year.
Wow.
Played well.
Wow. I've said this many a times. I honestly say hats off to Ime. He really didn't turn this Rockets organization around. We're talking about an organization that just 2.5 years ago was at the bottom.
Yep.
Just had a couple of good pieces, but we're at the bottom of the West, and it really came in and turned those guys around and have those guys playing basketball at a high level.
Yeah, they do. It's impressive what they've done, especially after kind of going through a skid. But every team goes through ups and downs throughout the season.
Right. No, but I'm just saying though, they went through maybe a 2-3 year kind of like rebuild
for sure,
to where they was on the bottom.
Yep.
And honestly, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I knew as soon as they went out and got Ime Udoka, I'm like, wait a minute,
yeah,
because this dude, some way, somehow, he's able to go out and galvanize young talent and get those guys to play the way he wants them to play.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, same with Oklahoma City. They went through a drought for a few years too.
Yep. And you get a bunch of young guys and you put them out there and you develop them and they buy into what the coach is selling. Now, all of a sudden, you got a good basketball team.
Yep. All right. Of course, the game we're most interested in, Kings and Cavs. When we come back, we will focus in on that. We'll get you to the Ginger and Hammer injury report. It's game day right here. Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right, we are back live on YouTube.
All right. Anthony, what do you think? You think the Kings are going to finish 9 or 10?
I think 10, honestly. I can't see them really making a run.
Normally you would think, I mean, they're one game ahead in terms of the loss column. They only have 30 and the Mavs with 31. Normally you would think that would be a good thing, but probably the fact that the Kings have more games left to play works against them.
Yeah.
Considering the games they have left.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. It's just a rough thing, especially with the Mavericks. They were playing worse before the most recent stretch with Anthony Davis, in my opinion. And I think that the Kings, they just won, but up until the last game, it was looking real bad.
Yeah, it's been a brutal road trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no question about that. I mean, Charlotte somehow it took it off life support, but it's not going to be an easy finish with Cleveland and Detroit. And again, the next 4 games, high flyer, the Kings are not going to be favored in any of them.
No. And Scott, let me ask you this. Do you think, because at one particular point when AD went down and right before KD went down, we were looking at a scenario of, well, Dallas is done. Phoenix has fallen off the planet.
Yeah.
And Portland is playing better, but they can't catch you.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the Kings fall off the cliff.
Yep.
Do you think that probably was one of the reasons why Dallas got rejuvenated? They were like, well, the Kings haven't solidified anything, so we can still come back and make a run at this thing. And the same way with Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. I mean, the Kings missed their opportunity to run away. I mean, with the 9 spot for sure. They were never going to get to 8, but they certainly had a great chance of having 9 and not having to deal with what they are right now. But I think for the Mavs, as much as anything else, with everything that happened with that trade, I think AD is just supremely motivated to not be forgotten in the conversation here. And I think the Mavs as a team are just wanting not to be forgotten.
I'm with that, but I honestly think that because, for me, Scott, like I said, I'll always put on my player hat when I think about these type of things. And do you think AD would have been motivated to come back this year?
Yeah.
With the other guys this year to say, well, maybe we can get that 10th spot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I think the Kings left the door open to where 9 was there.
Yep.
And they're looking like, okay, well, we can slide into this 9 spot. And if we're playing good basketball, that 9 can catapult into something different. I'm thinking if it was just that last spot, that 10th spot, a bunch of players have been like, man, we're not going to try to break our necks just to try to get to that last spot.
You might be right about that. And that's certainly what it feels like for Phoenix right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, are we really going to try to just put everything, bet everything on the house to get that spot? Nah. I'd rather wait until next year.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, Phoenix, New York, Golden State, and OKC in their next 3. They won't be favored in any of those games as well. So if they don't get those 3, it may not come down to Sunday.
Right. And in the situation of, they're not going to try to rush KD back to try to make a run at the 10th spot. Maybe.
Is there any update on? Can you check on KD?
I can check on KD.
Okay,
for sure.
Cool. Welcome back into Game Day. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful weekend in our capital city as we get you ready for the Kings and the Cavs. 3 o'clock tip today right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Kings Live pregame coming up at 2:30 this afternoon. Jason Ross will be in for that. Game Day, always brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento, a great cause in our community. If you have a heart of service, you want to do something good for a child who needs an outside mentor in their lives, you could possibly serve that role. For more information, go to bbbs-sac.org. That's Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Sacramento. All right, Kings and Cavs, as we said, Cleveland, a chance today to officially wrap up the home court advantage in the Eastern Conference. They're 62-15. They've had an incredible year. They're 33-5 at home. Really not much of a tougher challenge for the Kings trying to get back-to-back wins here on the road.
Yeah. I mean, you know what you're getting into when you have to walk into Cleveland. You know, you're playing a very good basketball team that's coached very well, that's motivated, that has superstars, that has a bunch of players who really feel like they can make the long haul. So it's going to be an uphill battle, no doubt.
There's no question. The last time the Cleves had the number one seed, of course, that was the LeBron era, Kyrie, where they went on.
Kevin Love
had those tremendous 4 consecutive finals appearances, got one of them against the Warriors. So, all right, let's get to our Ginger and Hammer injury report for this contest. All right, Anthony, take it away.
All right, for the Kings, we still have no update on Keegan Murray. He's still a game time decision. We aren't there, so I'm trying to get some video to show Henry to see the eye test, but we don't have anything on that. But Jake LaRavia is also out with a left thumb injury. And for Cleveland, Imani Bates is out on G League two-way. There's a couple more people on a G League two-way. Ty Jerome is available, and Dean Wade is available tonight.
Oh, I thought Jake was back.
There you go.
Yep.
Not yet.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
You know, if Jake is still out, right, and let's say you lose Keegan Murray,
right,
man, that's 2 of your best defenders out there on the floor that Doug Christie's not going to be able to have access to.
Makes it tougher, that's for sure. We'll see on Keegan, but if he doesn't play tonight, certainly it affects the matchups on the floor. And regardless if he is playing, I mean, the matchups are still very tough. You know, Donovan Mitchell, he's not going to win MVP. He's probably fallen out of that top tier or the top 5, but I mean, he's certainly top 10 in the league, all NBA.
Oh, for sure. Definitely in contention. No doubt. You know, and honestly, Scott, I think MVP, now this is just me speaking.
Yes.
MVP should be at the very end. At the very end.
After the playoffs.
Yes. Not what you do through the regular season, but you need to add on them playoff games too to see how this most valuable player of the league starts playing.
So even though there's like a finals MVP or anything else, doesn't matter.
Right. No.
Okay. But I mean, what about that would probably eliminate anybody who's had an incredible year whose team isn't that great, right? And that's your argument that the MVP should come from a player who is on a team that's fighting for a final spot.
Right. I mean, really 9 times out of 10, the MVP is one of those guys that's in one of those spots.
The last one I can really think of is Westbrook. I mean, OKC was not a title contending team the year he won it, but his numbers were so incredible when he had the triple-double season.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, that was something that the league has never seen before.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, it's one of those guys that's on that team that's making that long haul.
That's true. All right. As we break down the Cavs, obviously they're a threat to win it all. I know you still feel Boston's the team to beat.
Boston's still champs, no doubt. But I do think that Cleveland has everything it takes to give Boston a run. You know, when we get to that part of the season, Scott, I give a lot of credit to the team that have been through it, to the team that has done it. You know, we talk about OKC. You just said it. But are they tried and true? Are they tested? And that goes a long way.
It does, and it goes for the Cavs, too, who have not made a big-time run since LeBron's left. So we'll see where they're at on it. Obviously, they've beaten Boston in the regular season, but again, to do it in the playoffs, a totally different deal.
No, 7 games. It's totally different type of situation. After that second game, there are no secrets. It's all about who executes the best.
True. They are a tough matchup. They've got a great backcourt in Mitchell and Garland, and then that height along the front line with Mobley and Allen's really tough to contend with.
Yeah, you talk about on the defensive end, and we say defense wins championships. They got 7-footers in there.
Yeah.
And then they got guards who really understand how to pressure, how to play up on the 3-point line. Because if you get past me, you got 2-7 penalties you got to contend with once you get down to that paint.
No doubt. And obviously the bench has been bolstered. DeAndre Hunter was a great pickup at the All-Star break.
Great pickup for them. And everybody plays for one another. That's one thing I like about them. Of course, they got their head of the snake and Donovan Mitchell. And really, sometimes I think it bounces all back and forth between him and Darius Garland. But Mobley's a big piece. He's their number one guy when you look at, anything in the paint and 12-foot and bond.
Yeah, no doubt. He's been terrific. Some people think he's the most improved player in the league. It'd be interesting to see how that ballot comes out. But for the Kings, we know it's a tough challenge tonight. Would we see maybe we have people talk about it. I know we've mentioned it throughout the last few weeks. Will we see more Sabonis and Valanciunas on the floor together tonight against the two bigs? That
might work. That might work because you got two legitimate bigs out there. And I definitely think that Chuny Tunes can run around with Allen out there.
Well, the thing is, those guys aren't legitimate 3-point threats. So you don't have to pull Valanciunas out.
Big time. Jared Allen is not going to pull Valanciunas out to the 3-point line.
No.
So I don't even think the guy is even going to go out there. So, yeah, Valanciunas, you might see, the gruesome twosome out there together.
That might be the case, especially if Keegan's not playing tonight.
No doubt, because you're going to be short at that at that 4-man position. But then again, you might see a lot of Trey Lyles in that position.
Yeah, and it feels like, not that Trey's been lost in the shuffle. It feels like Trey hasn't had as many good, consistent games as he did in the first half of the year.
He hasn't, but he's played decent.
He has
for the last couple of games.
Yes, he had a good game in Charlotte.
Right, he's come out, been aggressive, but has been able to knock down a couple of shots.
Yep. All right, we're literally in the last week of the season now. As you look at the next 7 days, and the Kings' play-in future is going to be won or lost on the floor here. What are you looking for in this last week?
Scooter, some consistency, bro. It's been that word from the beginning.
And it still is.
Some consistency. We have seen the Kings play at a Herculean rate, but we have seen the Kings play down at, a proper level. It's like, where are we going to be with this basketball team?
Nobody knows. And just a little bonus on the Ginger and Hammer injury report. We'll look at Phoenix. Kevin Durant is out tonight in New York. His timetable is still unknown.
He won't be back.
It might be October, November of 2025.
He won't be back.
Especially if the Suns don't win. We'll see. It'll be interesting. New York is on a back-to-back tonight. They were on the road last night. They're flying back home tonight. Jalen Brunson getting his first start after not playing 21. We'll see how the Knicks are tonight.
What's funny about the Knicks is that the players are really starting to buck about all these minutes that they've been logging.
Yeah.
And, all the Tibbs teams have been guilty of this, saying that he runs his starters into the ground, so they have nothing left when it's come time for the push.
Well, hopefully they have something left for Phoenix tonight.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Let's hope the Kings have something to give in Cleveland tonight. All right, that's our Ginger and Hammer injury report. Ginger and Hammer, if you're ever in an injury, just call Gingery. That's going to do it for game day. As always, Henry, great to work with you. Have a great call today.
Yes, man, a nice call. And then afterwards,
some gumbo,
and we get out in the sun still up.
Some sunshine, some gumbo. I like it. All right, coming up next, Kings Live pregame. Jason Ross here for that. The High Flyer and Jason will take you until 3. Tip-off from Cleveland, then G-Man with the call. Keep it tuned here. We've got you covered all afternoon and evening long. Sacramento Kings basketball right here on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx.